Hello, this is Mark Denham, radio presenter, audio producer, podcaster, and voiceover. Today's audio journey is not so much about audio production or podcast production. Today's is about radio and more specifically, voice tracking. So yes, it does happen. And to be fair, you will be surprised how much radio you think you are listening to live that is not actually live. It happens, trust me. The art of good voice tracking, though, is that whether the presenter is live or whether the presenter has recorded their links, the listener does not know. So let me just take you through the basics of voice tracking here. I am using Playout 1. Now, there are two different versions of Playout 1. I have the standard version. There's also a Playout 1 Pro. If you have Playout 1 Pro, you will do your voice tracking in the web. So you go to a web browser and you will load up and log in. And then you do your voiceover. The principles from there, however, are the same. If you have RCS, you can also do it in the studio. You can do it also remotely as well using Zeta to Go. You can voice track either even on an iPad or a tablet. You can voice track and again in a browser. And the same with Myriad. Myriad Anywhere allows you to voice track anywhere, and that is based in a browser. Now, let's go through very quickly here the basics of audio. I'm going to have a quick look at, I'm going to pick an hour from Atom Radio, which is not a presented hour. So I'm just going to download this hour now by going into my voice tracking, remote voice tracking module. And this hour is going to come across in a moment. You'll see here the status. And for the purposes of this video, we won't wait for the audio to come across. We'll do a quick cut and then I'll come back. Okay, so we have our playlist now, which you can then open for editing. And this is where things are slightly different. If you are web-based, then you will find that, we'll close that down now. If you are web-based, then you will find that the log will come up as it has here. And what happens certainly in web-based applications is that you will put your cursor where you want to record, you'll click record, and before you do that, it'll download the item before and the item that you have, so you will then be able to hear the out of whatever it is, maybe in this case a jingle, into the intro, and then you can talk up to the vocals, which we know start at 40 seconds. And it is basically that simple. That's all that you have to do if you want to voice track a show. So, for the basis of this, I don't want you to be able to hear the audio because it is copyrighted. So it's very important that I turn everything down here, which makes it a little tricky for me to hear as well. But all you have to do is you would just go in and you would record your link. So you click on the record button and it's a 3-click record. You click on record, which brings up the start here of the jingle. Obviously, I'm talking over it and you can see here that this jingle is playing, even if you can't hear it, because I don't want to get in trouble for copyright here. But this jingle is playing. And there's the out mark on it there. And there it is finished. So I would then click start the song. Now the song is playing, which you can see in the bottom window. My voice is still going in the top window. And then when I'm finished, I just click again. And I get asked if I want to commit the voice track. Now, that's the worst voice track ever in history because I've spoken all over the jingle and I've done nothing that's relevant at all. But what you would do is you would listen here to the audio and you would hear that playing. So let's basically do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the jingle and then I'm going to cut where the song comes in so you can't hear.
Atom Radio, oh yeah, playing the music you want to hear. Yeah, atomradio.co.uk.
10:03, it is Monday, and this is Mark with you here on Atom Radio, playing the music you want to hear all around the world. Cheers so much for sticking us on. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go with New Order. So there you go. Now, obviously, you couldn't hear New Order in the background. I can hear it in my headphones because I need to be able to hear where I'm talking over the thing. I will then click yes, and that will appear in the log, and that will then be sent back to the Playout PC, where at 10:03 tomorrow, that would actually happen. I don't want it to happen, so I'll delete it because that's not my hour of the day. But that's basically how you do it. Now, just a few tips on this. When you are voice tracking, approach it if you are doing your actual show live, because everybody is waiting to hear the actual show live. And even if you are voice tracking, maybe you voice track your show all the time. Maybe you have another commitment and you can't do your show. Make sure you approach it live. Another top tip for you as well, do not strive for perfection. Some people will and more than others. And if you do a radio show regularly and you are an and people will know that because they'll get used to it. They're not going to hate you for it. Unless you speak with an and an about 5 times in a sentence, they're not going to hate you. But every now and then there will be an and an that creeps out. Leave it. It sounds more natural. Leave it in there. If you were to go through and think, right, I'm going to talk here. So you go in there, you get rid of that sweeper, and then you do a link between Redbox and JB Cooper. And you start by saying, oh, that was Redbox on Atom Radio. It's 10:15, it's Monday, and this is a hot day. Leave that because it just sounds more natural. It makes it sound like you were there. And I've also just mentioned something else that I wanted to mention as well. If you are doing voice tracking, whether you're voice tracking this show, let's say between 10 and 1, on a Monday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, or whether you've already voice tracked it on Friday before you went home, or whether you are voice tracking it, you can see there that the changes have happened, or whether you are voice tracking it whenever. In your log, you will have the times here. 10:03 for that first link. I know that Redbox and for America finishes to all intents and purposes at 10:15 because it's 10:14 and 49. So I can then say, oh, that's Redbox for America on Atom Radio. It's 10:15. It's Monday morning. How has your Monday morning been so far? Blah, blah, blah. And then people think that I am there because I've done the time check. Also, if you are voice tracking, let's say you're voice tracking at 8 o'clock in the morning, check out the weather for the day as well. So you can talk about the weather. Do your show prep as you would do if it was live. Make sure that you have topics to fill your links. Nobody wants to hear, that was Redbox and for America on Atom Radio at 10:15 and this is JP Cooper. That'll lose you listeners. Because even if the music is great, that'd be boring having someone just crop up like every 3 songs and do a link like that. Do your show prep. Make sure you have content for your show to fill your links. Always look out here for your gap times as well. Because whilst your software may, if you're using RCS, if you're using Playout 1, your software will have an ability to stretch or shrink the audio to fit the hour exactly. If you have a song, let's say here, Dido, Take You Home will start at 10:58 and 52 seconds if I don't change anything else here. That would be silly because I'm going into the news at 10:59 and 44 for the COVID message and the news in jingle. That would be stupid because I'd get less than a minute of that song. So as you would if you're sat in the studio, watch that under-over gap counter and make sure that it is controllable at all the time during your hour. Make sure as you're going through your hour here, what you could do is you could set up the whole hour and say, right, I'm going to do a link here. I'll do a link here into the advert. I'll do a link here and I'll do a link there. And you could go through and you could plan all that. Get rid of the sweeper. Bang, do your recording, blah, 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 and press go, get the next song. Do your next link, get rid of the sweeper, blah, 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 bang, and into the adverts, okay? If you've got an under gap, let's say here, because you think, right, okay, my last song in the hour has to be Dido and Take You Home, then you're thinking, aha, I'm going to have to delete a song somewhere else in this hour to fit. If you're looking at this and thinking, right, my last song in the hour, thank you, Mutaf, for liking my photo. If you're thinking that the last song here will be Ella Henderson and Take Care of You, delete that and you've got an underrun of 51 seconds. Make sure you have something to fill that 51 seconds. So you're not just sat there thinking, this is Atom Radio and the news is on the way at 11 o'clock. And I'm really just sat here struggling because I've got 51 seconds to fill before I fire off that next song. That's not going to be good radio. So remember, just as you would if you're in the studio, keep an eye on that gap counter and you can make sure that you have the information you need in terms of how long your link can be. So maybe I've done all my links here and I'm thinking, right, okay, get rid of that. and I'm just coming out of the clash. I'm going into Ella Henderson. I've got 54 seconds that I need to fill. I need to have done my prep, so I know that I have 54 seconds worth of content. Be that saying, that was the clash. I fought the law on Atom Radio, and this is Mark with you, heading up towards 11 o'clock. And then I have something of meaningfulness to say. Maybe I'm going to talk about something local. Maybe I'm going to talk about something national. Maybe I'm going to talk about something showbiz. But I need to know in my head, I have 54 seconds worth of content before I then hit this button and say, this is Ella Henderson and take care of you to the news for 11. So basically, that is how you voice track radio. Doesn't matter if you're using a remote voice track client like this uses, or if you're doing it in the web. The difference here is, in using a remote voice track client, it will download the audio that's in that show, and then all of the audio, no matter where I now choose to do a link. If I was to link here, I'd get the end of New Order playing in my headphones. I can then click to start off Ellie Goulding, and that will then play, and I can talk up to the vocals, or I don't have to, but I can click record again then to stop. I'll be asked if I want to commit it. If you're using a web-based system like Zeta to Go or Myriad Anywhere, or indeed Playout One Pro, you'll get your log come up. Once you log in, you'll get your log come up here on the screen. Nothing will be downloaded until you then start doing a voice link. So if I want to do a voice link here and I'm using a web-based system, I can delete the sweeper, I can click record, and before I start recording, New Order will download, Ellie Goulding will download, and then New Order will start playing, and I can start my voice track talking over the end of New Order, and then I can click and start Ellie Goulding and talk up to the vocals. Once I commit it, my vocal will then be sent, my voice track is then sent back to the studio, and then I go on and I do my next one. And again, if I want to talk here, I will get Red Box downloaded, and I will get JP Cooper. I'll hear the end of Red Box, I'll hear JP Cooper. So if you are voice tracking using a remote voice tracking client or using a RAR-VT via the web, you will get the audio there in your ears. Make sure that you have content like you've planned, like you would do with a normal show. Make sure to keep an eye on this gap marker, currently 54 seconds under. Make sure you have enough content to fill that. Always do your prep work so you have enough content to fill your hour. And don't strive for perfection. Strive for naturalness. Obviously, if you say a lot of ums and ers, then yeah, you need to work on your technique and you need to work on ironing out those ums and ers. But if you just say one occasionally, leave it in there. It's natural. People will then think that you are there with them and it's natural. There you go. I hope that has helped. If you are in radio, if you are starting radio, loads and loads of internet stations. Look, you see? I'll leave that in, even though I messed it up, because it sounds natural. Loads of internet stations are starting up and have started up in lockdown. So if you are doing it for the internet, for your own hobby, have fun with it. If you are doing professional radio, remember, we're all human. Nobody's perfect. There will be an there will be an at some point in time. And as long as your whole show isn't just leave the occasional one in because it sounds more perfect. And also don't forget, whilst you may be recording this at 10 p.m. at night, at 7 a.m. in the morning, people are listening to it at the time that's here, the air time. So don't forget to do a time check every now and then as well. Have fun, make some amazing radio, and thank you for checking out today's audio journey. As always, if you have any questions or comments, stick them in the comments below on YouTube. Head to my website, markdenham.com, where you can check out the entire audio journey on podcasting, on voiceover, on equipment and setup, and indeed now on radio as well. And if you have any questions, you can ask them. Go to the contact tab on markdenham.com.